So the game ends, Motherwell 1, Hearts 1, and I have to say, in terms of refereeing performances, that is one of the poorest refereeing performances that I have seen in quite a while. I think they were really poor throughout the game for lots of decisions, little fouls that weren't being given fouls that shouldn't have been fouls at times, the penalty incidences, which we'll get to, and some fouls that should have been yellow cards that weren't given. It was a strange game of football from the officials, which is a shame because this was lined up to be a really good game. And to be fair, even though it was 1-1, it was still a good and entertaining watch. It started off really fast from Motherwell point of view. They could have scored in the first 40 seconds. Good play from them. One touch football down the left hand side. Longello, who I thought was Motherwell's best player on the night. He puts in a really good ball into the box, and it's Slattery with a header, and Swallow makes a good save to keep it at 0-0 really early on in the game. Couple of end-to-end chances being carved out at that point, nothing really threatening either goalkeeper, and then Motherwell do end up taking the lead in the game of football. Masmanese manages to keep it in with a back heel to Longello, who sends a dangerous ball to the front post, and Swallow misses it when trying to dive for it, and I think Saeed actually hits it off Kingsley and it goes into the back of the net. One chance that I didn't talk about though was the man in picture. It's not actually that chance that it was. Lawrence Shankland, he had the ball fall to him. Callum Ward, who I thought was actually quite poor tonight with palming the ball into dangerous areas. The first time he did it to Shankland, luckily enough, Stephen O'Donnell bailed him out for him in that case. But I do think it's a poor finish from Shankland, especially for a player of his standard. He took too long on it, and then Hearts could have been 1-0 up at that point, and it could have finished a different game if Hearts go 1-0 up as opposed to Motherwell. But I have to say, after the Motherwell goal, it was a wee bit, again, cagey end to end, but then Hearts do manage to get back into the game. It's a ball in the box from I believe Stephen Kingsley, who the own goal comes from, to the back post, and it's kind of like tried to be kept alive in the box. It's really, really crowded, but it falls to the back post anyway, where a volley is hit, and Ward just palms it right into the path of Shankland again, and this time he's punished for it. Motherwell were trying to claim that there was a foul on Stephen Welsh in the build-up. Too soft for me. Welsh just jumps to the ground. After that, for the vast majority of the game, it was Hearts that looked like they were going to get the next goal. Even for the rest of the first half, they were putting pressure on the Motherwell back line. There was a suggestion of handball from Longello in the box. There was actually a handball before him, just outside the box, that wasn't given, but the one that they wanted for the penalty. Not a handball at all. And then they wave play on. Second half comes and Hearts make the change, which I think helped them creativity-wise, that they were lacking in the first half at times, where Kizaridis comes on. And they should have had a penalty, in my opinion, with a foul on Kizaridis from a corner. I think it's Maswanese that does trip him. The only reason I can think of that the referee's not giving it is because Kingsley makes a bit of a meal of it with like a jump after it, but even so, it's clear to see the contact. VAR actually waved them over to look at the screen, and he still decided not to give a penalty in this instance, which was a really interesting call. I would like to see that one explained, and I do hope that no matter what happens with the league title, that we're not looking back at that instance. Of course, the penalty needs to be scored, but Shankland is usually quite reliable from the spot. And I hope we're not looking back at that instance next weekend and feeling as though if Hearts don't win the league, that we look back on that as potentially a reason as to why they didn't win the league. Afterwards, Motherwell felt as though they had a penalty claim as well. Mazwinize went down in the box. I don't think it's a foul in the box, and I actually think that he fouled the Hearts defender in the build-up to it as well to actually win possession. So I felt as though at the time when he did win the ball that if he had scored it would have been pulled back for a foul as well. Motherwell did also early on in the second half actually have the ball in the back of the net. A scuff shot from Said. Stephen O'Donnell put it in the back of the net, but it was ruled out for offside, and rightfully so. A blow to Hearts, though, is that Mark Leonard went off injured in the game. It was a little bit inconspicuous, actually, and sometimes those are the worst ones in the end of the day, if it's not something that looks too serious. He was standing in a boot. The cameras picked that up at the end of the game, so it looks like he'll be missing for the final 2 games for Hearts anyway, and he's been a really important player for them since arriving in January, so that one's going to be a blow. But a point apiece, which sees Hearts move 4 points clear of Celtic as things stand, and 8 points clear of Rangers as things stand. So what I think that result has done in reality is, even if Rangers were to pick up a win tomorrow and then go 1 point behind Celtic, they would still be 5 points behind Hearts with 2 games to go, so it's going to be really, really difficult to claw anything back in terms of a title at that point for Rangers, and they would be doing Hearts obviously a massive favour, which would allow them to potentially, by beating Falkirk on Wednesday night, become champions. Well, no potential about it. If they did beat Falkirk and Rangers beat Celtic, then Hearts would become champions. However, what it does mean is that a draw in tomorrow's derby would see, as long as Celtic got the job done against Motherwell themselves, it would definitely see the title go to the final day at the very least. So I think that's what Sky Sports want for sure, is the title to go to the final day. They would rather it wasn't won before the final day in the last game is a dead rubber, but I think most Hearts would rather it was won. Most Hearts fans would rather it was won before the final day, not wanting to go through the, what's the word I'm looking for, stress of seeing whether or not they could see it out against Celtic, which I think they would. They would probably set up to defend, because as things stand, if tomorrow was a draw, Celtic would need to win 3-0 or by 3 goals on the final day to clinch the title. Anyway, that's going to do it for the reaction video to the game. If you are new round here, please consider checking out some of the other content on the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one.